Okay, good morning, everybody. This is or afternoon. I'm a little bit late today. I'll tell you why, too, because I was struggling with what to talk about today. Um, there was a strike in Zaporizhia yesterday that left 13 people dead. Busy market, middle of the day, glide bomb attack, which by the grace of God, we've seen less of those lately. And I thought about talking about that, but that happens every day here, something like it. And we could talk about the losses every day. But I think that why people tune in to this channel is to understand the not the minutia, the daily misery of this war, but rather the bigger picture, how it all fits together, and what the fuck are we going to do about it? Because it's a problem. And the problem, unfortunately, is being exacerbated by Putin's win in the United States. And that's exactly what I'm going to keep calling the reelection of the traitor Donald Trump. It's Putin's greatest victory. Make no mistake. That's what we're really up against here, people. And that's why, unfortunately, we are going to have to talk a little bit today about Donald Trump and his insane agenda that he is putting out and why I think he's putting it out. All right, so let's get started then with the overnight drone attacks. 100% interception rate, 46 shot down, another 24 returned to sender or taken out with active countermeasures. Another 100% interception rate. Now, the insanity that is Donald Trump and what he talks about. Now, look, from a strategic perspective, he's not wrong about Greenland. This is what we have to understand, right? We think of the world, we think of Russia as like way over there, but it's not. It's right up there. Just go over the North Pole and you're in fucking Russia. And that's why Greenland is so important. That's where our early warning missile detection sites are, right? A nuclear silo opens in Siberia somewhere. We know about it because we have a base there that watches everything that's happening. The waterway here is critical for the Russians. Now, it's my opinion that Trump has been seduced into going after Greenland because of the mineral wealth that it contains. So he's looking to steal a colony, make a colony out of another sovereign nation, completely in violation of the UN Charter and everything that it's supposed to mean to be an American. So he sees the lithium, he sees the oil, he sees the gas, he sees the gold, he sees the diamonds, he sees the uranium. He wants it. And climate change is making it available. The Greenland glacier is melting and its mineral resources are suddenly becoming much cheaper to acquire. That gives him right? He talks about the economic security of the future of America. That's what he's talking about, having access to all that mineral wealth. Well, okay. I mean, he's not wrong. But that's not how we do things. We partner with the Greenlanders to extract that mineral wealth and make sure that they benefit from it. That it's not a one-way colonial imperial expansion where we're just going to pit mine the whole country, leave it a natural disaster, and the people impoverished the way that the Russians do to Russia. Please. Like, this is antithesis of everything it means to be an American, for Christ's sake. Now, the other thing, of course, is Putin wants that early warning radar system gone. That's what's going to keep him from taking out America with his nuclear missiles. He wants it gone. He wants the U.S. going after Greenland, not because it'll make America wealthy. or it'll make America great, but it will remove the main impediment to his bombing the shit out of North America. That's got to be one of the reasons. It's got to be. What else does Putin want? Putin wants his shadow fleet of decrepit tankers to be able to transit the Panama Canal, which they currently cannot do. And he wants that access. I think that's where the Panama Canal comes into play. Now, look, there are problems on the canal, no doubt about it. And some bigger American ships can't get through anymore. Why? Because there's a big lake in Panama that we pull the water out of to fill the, what are they called? Not the stocks. The stocks? Anyway, the ramps of the canal, the locks. So there's a lake there that they use to fill the locks of the canal to lift the ship up and move it across, right? Well, climate change is drying that lake up. There isn't enough water in it anymore to fill the locks. And so bigger ships, like the ones that are mostly owned by the United States, can no longer transit the canal. The problem is not Chinese interference, as Putin would, or as Putin's puppet would have you believe. The problem is climate change. Again, climate change is a problem for the Panama Canal. Climate change is a driver of a desire to take Greenland. Climate change is very likely the reason that he's got Canada in his sights. To Canada! Can you imagine? Why Canada? Because of the Northwest Passage. Every summer, the water opens up more and more. And it is expected that by 2050, you will be able to circumnavigate the Arctic Circle in a boat. No problem. That's going to be a thing. Which means if I want to go from North America to China, all I have to do is go up and over the North Pole. That's a lot fucking shorter than going around the Cape of South Africa or through the Suez Canal. It's a lot shorter. And I think that's why he's got his eyes on Canada too. Control of the Northwest Passage, whether it is American, Canadian, Russian, who's ever in charge of those waterways once they open up, is going to be in a very strong position to regulate the navigable waterways, to charge for transit through those waterways, whatever. There's a million ways to make money that way, a million ways. And so I think that's this imperial expansionist bullshit, contrary to all of the rules-based international order, is all designed with one thing in mind: to reduce American power in the world and make America an easier target for Russia. That appears to me to be everything that's going on here. There may be other things, right, in terms of him being able to line his own pockets in one way or another with this. But I think geopolitically, that's the biggest thing. Now look at how these people turn a disaster like the wildfires in California to anti-Ukraine propaganda. TJ, Donald Trump Jr., tweeted today, oh, look, of course, the LA Fire Department donated a bunch of their supplies to Ukraine. So the reason that we have the LA wildfires is because the LA Fire Department donated some respirators and helmets 3 years ago from their surplus stocks to Ukraine. You got to be kidding me. And again, what's the underlying cause of the wildfires? Climate change. Climate change. What is the driver of climate change? The fossil fuel industry. What governments and peoples make their money off of oil. It's a big part of the U.S. economy, 4% of our economy. It's a big chunk. It's 60% of Russia's economy. It's everything for them, even more so with the Saudis. And so, and the Venezuelans, right? Oil economies, extraction economies. These economies are no good. They concentrate wealth in the hands of a few and impoverish everybody else while doing untold destruction to the only rock we can live on. So when I look at this whole pattern of imperial abuse from the heir apparent, it seems to me that Donald Trump is very much on the side of himself and his own unenlightened short-term self-interest at the cost of a livable planet for the rest of the species. That's who he is, and that's where he's leading us. On the subject of oil, this is Engels Air Force Base out in the Saratov region of Russia, and it is still on fire. This video is just from this morning. It's taken just a couple hours ago. Another one of the tanks exploded last night, so the fire spread from 1 to 2, and now I think there are 4 tanks burning. And we're moving into 48 hours since this attack, almost headed toward 48 hours. So that's a big hit, and that's going to, I would think, that would cripple the Russians' ability to get planes in and out of Engels. And that's important because it's from Engels that the bombers fly. The Tupolev 95s, 160s are homed here. There used to be 22s here, but I don't think there are anymore. They've all been moved to Murmansk, I'm pretty sure. So these are the planes that drop the bombs on the cities of Ukraine every night, pretty much. And so if they can't fly, that would be better for all of us. Now, let me play you this video. This is so incredible. I can't even begin to tell you. Now, look at here. Right, so what we're looking at, this is in Toretsk. There's a warehouse here. See the arrow and the little Ukrainian guy there with the little flag? That's a guy right there in the night vision. The Ukrainians are in this part of the warehouse over here. The Russians are in the back part of the warehouse. So you know what this fool does? He grabs himself an anti-tank mine and he runs around the back and throws it in where the Russians are and clears the building. Now, Toretsk is under a lot of pressure. These guys are not going to last there much longer. By all accounts, it looks like Toretsk, like Korotkove, is about to fall. But goddamn, you can't say the Ukrainians aren't doing the job, man. Holy cowabunga. Okay, now, I'm going to let this just play while I talk. This footage is from Kursk. It claims to be footage of the recent Kursk counteroffensive. Now, look, I'm reading everything I can about what's happening in Kursk. And from what I can tell, nobody really knows what's going on. It appears that what may have happened was that the Ukrainians, once again, impossible to imagine, but once again caught the Russians off guard and pushed forward 8 kilometers to the town of Berdin, no problem, just caught them off guard. The Russians then responded with what you're seeing here. An armored column of some 50 vehicles, at least 4 tanks, then infantry fighting vehicles, armored personnel carriers, and reportedly some Desert Cross buggies, some Chinese golf carts made it into the attack, as well as Lance and anti-tank drones. So the Russians come full on with 50 vehicles. We don't know how many men, say 200, right? Say 200. And I say 200, here's why. Because according to the Ukrainians, 45 of them were killed in action. 53 of them were wounded in action to the point where they had to be removed from the battlefield. And the attack was rebuffed, and the Ukrainians held their positions. Now, there is a narrative on the Russian mill blogger channels that this same attack by the Russians against the Ukrainian positions happened and that they devastated the Ukrainians. Now, it is awfully hard to tell who to believe, except that we have reports that the Russians are now shelling Verdun. So you wouldn't shell a city that you still were holding, right? You would only shell it if you had just lost it. So the evidence seems to come down on the side of the 47th Mechanized Brigade, who were the ones in this fight. They were the ones in this fight. So, guys, that's it for me for this morning, for the news that we are waking up to for Thursday, the 9th of January, 2025. I'm Peter Alexievich, and with a little bit of luck and by the grace of God, inshallah, I'll see you on the live tonight. Take care.